Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the St. Pete Science Festival. My name is Amanda, and I'm going to be your MC for this exciting presentation. Today, we are going to learn about virtual reality and ways to make the invisible visible, touch the untouchable, and safely experience dangerous places. I'm so pleased and excited to introduce you all to Chad from the SPC Innovation Lab.
Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and then share my screen and get started. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about virtual reality. So engaging users with virtual reality. So first off, I talk a little bit about what immersive technologies are, and that's they imitate or extend our physical world via digital simulations. And so what that does, it gives us the sense of immersion, which means to be completely absorbed into something. So there's another term called XR. You may have heard of it before. It stands for extended reality. And that X is a variable that can stand for anything. And right now, it just includes 360-degree imagery. You may have seen that or 360-degree virtual reality too. You might have seen that on YouTube, where you can kind of navigate around the image, which is really neat. There's also true VR, augmented reality, mixed reality, spatial computing, holograms. So all of that stuff, that extended reality is the full spectrum of immersive technology. So my question always is, can immersive technologies like these improve learning and provide more engaging collaborative experiences? And Amanda kind of touched on that before, where, you can see the invisible. We can touch stuff that we're not really supposed to touch, hot things, and maybe we can increase the size of a cell and like swim inside of it and all that kind of thing. We can't do that in the real world, right? But in virtual world, we can do that. So a couple things. Let's see if these will light up here. So learning in 3D. So let me show you the first video on the right. So I've got this, let me loop it real quick too. There's two students and they're wearing different headsets. And this is an augmented reality side of it. So they see this huge heart in the room, and I'm looking at it through an iPad. But you can see they're actually looking at it and looking at the different labels of the heart. So they can take the heart apart, and they can do this in virtual reality too. They can take the heart apart, look at the different parts, see how the blood flows and all that. Over here on the right side, or excuse me, on the left side, this is a similar concept. There's two of us. This is the view that I have from wearing the headset. You can see I'm looking at this digital cadaver or this digital body. And as I look at the different parts, they're all being labeled. And what's really neat about this is I can walk through this part and the body dissolves, and I'm actually walking inside this body now. And really, I can make this as big as I need it to be. And I will say, when you see stuff like this in virtual reality or augmented reality, you tend to not forget that experience. For me personally, if I'm reading about the human body or the heart or whatever it is, it's going to take me a couple times to read about it. But when I have this type of experience, it's on a completely different level. So, pretty cool stuff. So virtual reality, VR, is basically, it's just a computer tricking your brain into believing that you are in a different environment. So it's a simulation. So we've got virtual reality headsets. The Quest is a real good one. That uses 6 degrees of freedom, 6 dots. So that tracks your whole room VR experience. So that gives you more freedom to explore locations, interact with objects, and perhaps even dodge virtual bullets. So 3 DOF, you might have used it before. So when you have your phone and you're using a Google Cardboard headset, you only have those 3 degrees of freedom. So the image is basically moving with your head. Whereas 6 degrees of freedom, 6 DOF, you're walking into a simulated space. You can walk around, you can look around, you can pick up objects, you can throw objects, you can move them around, that sort of thing. I always like to share this. I had a student who was partially blind, mostly blind in one eye, and he came in and he wanted to experience virtual reality, but he didn't really think he could. I said, well, why don't you at least try it to see if it's something that you're interested in? And if it doesn't work, just take the headset off and go about your day. So what was nice is he put the headset on and he used a program called Tilt Brush, which allows him to paint in 3 dimensions and very colorful imagery inside virtual reality. You can see by his smile that he was just kind of blown away by this experience. And what was neat is he told me that it actually helped increase his peripheral vision to his functioning eye. So then he was able to actually do these things inside virtual reality. So there's health benefits and psychological benefits to virtual reality as well. So this is on the left. Let me go ahead and play this for you. So real quick, what I ended up doing is I did a 360-degree image. So I took a photo of this health classroom. And what I did is I figured out a way to create a sphere, and then I brought that sphere into virtual reality. So let me play this one for you real quick. So there's the sphere. It's a 360-degree image, and I just kind of added some binary files and stuff to it that make it like a program, basically. So then what you would do is you just take that sphere, and this is inside VR, by the way, and it looks a lot better when you're in 3D. So now I'm going to bring that sphere. Now I'm inside this. This is a static image, but I could do an animation and that sort of thing. So now I'm in this room with other people, and I could make this in an actual environment. So if the people weren't in there and I just did a 360 image, I could then be in this classroom, or I could be in anything really, for that matter. And so then I just bring the sphere back out, and then I'm outside. And I've done some projects with students. One student did, it was an astronomy project, and she brought a galaxy into this system, and that was really neat for her. And then I won't play this video here, but this is a way to be inside virtual reality with other people. These people kind of look cartoony, these avatars, but there's other software, and I'll talk about in a few minutes, that you actually look like yourself, and you'll see that in a minute. But what's neat about this is we're exploring this beautiful landscape in a way that you couldn't really do in real life, unless we had jetpacks or something cool, right? So we're all a group of people. We're all looking at this as the same experience. So it's a beautiful, and by the way, this video doesn't do it any justice. When you're actually there inside 3D virtual reality space, it's gorgeous. So here we are on the surface of Mars, looking at the Mars rover. So we're all in little spacesuits now, and we're checking this out. Let's see what the next part of it is. So now we're all in a conference center and walking through here and all interacting. We can all talk to each other, by the way. Let's see if there's anything else in here. If not, I'll skip over to the next video here in a sec. So what I love about VR is being able to collaborate with people from all over the world. And really, this was the whole social aspect of this was kind of a thing. But then when COVID hit and we all started working from home, doing virtual learning and that sort of thing, this became huge. And so now it's starting to gain more traction, and you're starting to see more and more people do this kind of thing. So these people, by the way, are scattered throughout the globe. They're all over the world. So they're not just in my space, they're actually all over the world. So it's really kind of an interesting social experiment in VR. Also, on the left side, you can see now this woman sits down to a nice clean desk, but she puts on her headset, and now she's going to bring her own office into this space. And what's neat about this is you can have as many monitors as you want. I've watched 3D films in VR, completely immersed in 3D, and it's amazing. So you can see she's got her office whenever and wherever she needs it. So she takes it off, all her stuff disappears. She needs to go work somewhere else, and she brings it back on, and there's her office again. So you can basically have your virtual office anywhere. Over here on the right is what's called pass-through. So you're in VR, but the gray part is the real world. So it's called pass-through. So the cameras on your headset let you see what's going on. So pretty soon we're going to be able to do both. And that whole concept of the metaverse is really starting to become true, where you can be in real life working and working and collaborating with real people, but then you can go back into VR space and move what this guy's doing, move content around globally. This was a really interesting project. So military veterans went into the Imagine Museum, and they told a story about their service, but then they went into virtual reality and they did a sculpture, and the sculpture was supposed to tell some story about their service. And so then what we were tasked with was to figure out how to take, and here's the examples, the proof of concept is to take the image, the 3D image that was built inside virtual reality, and then take it out of virtual reality and then 3D print it. So we were able to do a quick design, and you can see it's completely 3D. Again, I have to reiterate, it's so much more interesting when you're completely immersed in VR space. So then we just took it out, and you can see on the right, we actually 3D printed that. And so that was what we did for the museum, is figure out how to take the design from within 3D virtual reality space and get it into the real space. So it's kind of neat that you can design in virtual reality as well. Another project was, we had a couple students that came in that wanted to do a life mask, but they didn't want to put the clay and all that on their face. So we did a 3D scanning project, and all of this is great because if you do 3D scanning, you can then bring that object into virtual reality and make it as big as you need it to be. So they went in and they actually did all the work themselves, and they scanned this one student's face. And then on the bottom in the red, you can see that we kind of cleaned up the 3D scan, and then we 3D printed it. So there's the life mask. And by the way, this was the first one we've ever done, and it turned out pretty decent. So all of it was done digitally, and then we just printed it out on a 3D printer. Okay. So I always like to think kind of in the future, and even though this is sort of happening now, so I don't know how many of you out there have tried VR before, but what's really neat is you can go and use Google Earth and teleport anywhere in the world and quickly. So I can be in France, and then I can be in Germany, and then I can go to Tokyo. And then they now have it set to where you can go into outer space and explore outer space in VR too. So I'm always thinking, okay, well, with Google Earth VR, I can be above the streets, but then I can actually teleport onto the street view. And so now I'm on the street with, excuse me, sorry about that, with, sorry, hang on, let me fix this back up again. My phone's not supposed to ring. It's supposed to say that I'm not available. Sorry, guys. Bear with me a minute while this loads. Figures, right? Come on. Okay, hang on, we're almost there. So, sorry, again, hopefully my phone doesn't ring again because it'll probably knock everything out. But anyway, just imagine being able to view above Earth and in VR and then get on the street mode, but then switch over to AR mode. So now you're kind of like in that city, in that country, with other people that have similar headsets on or similar AR glasses. And now you can interact with people like you're actually there on the street. Which is pretty amazing. Then when you want to turn it off and be back in your living room or back in your classroom, you toggle the AR mode back and you're back in VR. So this is actually doable now, believe it or not on a beautiful perfection level, but it's actually getting close to where we can come close to doing this kind of thing, which is exciting. So Spatial is a program that allows you to be working with a group of people from all over the world. So in this case, this is more of an augmented reality version of it. But what you can see is there's two holograms to your left, and there's a woman on a web camera. So she doesn't have a VR or an AR headset. So she's just in front of her computer, and she can still interact with all this content. And then you've got the two people that are physically there that are wearing, in this case, HoloLens headsets. So they can all interact with all of that stuff that you see there. So a couple things I'm going to show you here. This was on the left side. This was an art gallery that I built for a artist. And so this is some of his artwork. And again, this doesn't look really that impressive in 2 dimensions, but when you're in 3, like that piece of art right there is very 3-dimensional when you look at it in VR. So art galleries are starting to get a really interesting place. So if we can't travel to a museum in France physically by plane or whatever, we can now do it fairly quickly and safely through VR technology. And then over here on the right, one of my colleagues at work built, he actually found this frog, and it was already dead, but it was in perfect condition. And so he used his camera and made a 3D scan of this frog, and then he was able to import it into our VR space. So now we're looking at this frog, and we don't need to dissect it, right? It's already dissected for us. We can go in and label all the parts. What's neat about this is we have the one frog right now. I can then make multiple copies of this and have 25, 35 students in this space that all have their own virtual frog. And when you're really close to it, you can see that it actually looks pretty much like a dissected frog. So I don't know if any of you have done that yet, but you probably will at some point in your biology classes. Okay. Another thing in Spatial at one point, this was really neat. I was in this meeting on the left. You can see we're all in virtual space. We kind of look like one another, but the one woman, Joanna Stern, she was from the Wall Street Journal, and she was interviewing people and trying to figure out the technology. And what was weird is I kind of felt like I knew her inside the VR space, but then a couple of days later, I saw her on a TV show, a financial TV show, and I was like, oh, I know her. Even though I don't really know her, I felt like I did because I met her in that virtual space. So it was really kind of neat to see how that worked. So if you wanted to do something with Spatial, the beauty of it is you do not need a VR or an AR headset. You can be on your desktop computer. You can also be on a mobile app. It can be your Apple iPhone, or it can also be an Android phone. What's great about this is it's allowing more and more people to experience this type of 3D content. So I have this up here. If anybody's ever interested, if any of your teachers are interested in learning more about this, definitely let me know, because it's fairly simple to set up. That's what I look like, by the way, up in the upper left-hand corner. That's my 3D avatar. And when you're in there and you're live inside VR space, my eyes are tracking. So my eyes move as I look around and move. My mouth moves, my hands move, everything moves like we're physically in the same room together. So here's my contact. If you guys ever have any questions, we have time now, I think, for some questions if you have them. And so if we can stop there if you want, or I've got tons of other things I can talk for hours about this stuff. So.
Awesome. We do have a couple of questions, so we can go ahead and ask a few of the questions what we can get to.
Okay.
Our first question, who uses virtual reality other than schools?
A lot of gamers. There's a lot of gaming going on. And just it's a consumer thing. There's still a lot of research going on. But yeah, it's not just in schools. I use it a lot in school though, because I think it's a very powerful educational tool that can enhance learning. It doesn't replace learning. It just enhances learning, but my son, he's 11 and he loves VR. He plays video games in there all the time. There's times where he and I will play video games together in that virtual space, and sometimes even watch movies together in there, because we can make the screen as big as we want it. So good question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is your job, and what schooling did you complete to get your job?
Good question again. So I work at St. Petersburg College. I am a librarian, so that's really my main job as a librarian, but I'm also really geeky. I really like computers and technology. So about 7 years ago, I wrote a grant, and because I wanted to start like a makerspace, a space where we have 3D printing and robots and circuitry and virtual reality. And so I did, and so that's sort of where I came from. So I I learn all this, believe it or not, just kind of by doing it. I'm just very interested in it, and if there's something I want to try to figure out, I just roll up my sleeves and I get through it. I've taken some programming classes, but again, most of the stuff I've learned here is through just doing and experimenting with this technology.
Awesome, great. And what school did you complete to become a librarian?
I went to the University of South Florida. I was on the Tampa campus.
Woohoo, go Bulls.
Yes. Yep.
What phone and computer apps do you use to make VR?
Well, you can do like there's a on a phone you can use. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it now, but it's I'll think of it in a second. But if you're going to do like real VR, you'd want to learn Unity, and like a 3D modeling software. But I think just getting into VR and just kind of learning and playing around in some of the apps that already exist and just seeing what you can do with it. But Unity is probably your best bet to learn. I want to say it's CoSpaces. It's called CoSpaces. And so you can put that on your phone, you can be on your computer, and it's web-based, and you can build virtual reality environments. You can also do augmented reality. And it's neat because all you had to do is toggle a switch. So you can be in VR, then you hit a switch, and then you can have the same setting that you created using CoSpaces in AR. And I might have a video somewhere I can share with you later. I know I have a video or two of doing that.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Sure.
Where can you buy virtual reality headsets or devices?
Well, that's another good question. For a while, so the Oculus was one of the first VR headsets that I started using. And then Facebook, the social media company, they purchased Oculus a few years ago for like $2 billion, huge amount of money. And Facebook, I think, that's their next step, is they really want to get people connected into this virtual space because it really is like you're meeting with somebody. Now, for a while, there was a shortage of VR headsets because I think a lot of people, especially early on in the pandemic, were buying them. But like places like Best Buy, you can get VR headsets. I know Oculus has a store online that you can buy their headsets that way. And they are a lot more affordable than they used to be. So you can get, and I wish I had it in front of me, but you can get an Oculus for about less than $300 now. Where back in the day, it would be $700-800 for the headset, and then probably another $1,500 for the computer to run it. Now you can just get a Quest, $300, and they're getting cheaper. So yeah, so Oculus Store and places like Best Buy will have it as well.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
How does VR work?
Well, that's a great question. Essentially, what you're doing is you're projecting two different screens on each eye, and that's it. And then there's a certain, I forget what it's called, but it's in your brain. So when you see things, there's a little kind of I forget what it's called, but it's like an intersection between your eyes in your brain that converges, and that's sort of what makes the 3D image in your brain. So when you have those projectors, those like TVs basically on your eyes, your brain is being tricked into thinking that it's in 3D. And then of course you've got all the cameras and all the different sensors on the headset that track your head movements, they track your hand movements, they know where you are in your room, so you're not going to bump into walls and everything. So yeah, that's really how it works essentially, is just screens over your eyes.
Right, great.
Great question.
Our next question, how can my teacher use VR during class with us?
Well, Now, there's a couple ways. A teacher could have a VR headset and be inside VR space, and they can stream it to a TV or a computer monitor or whatever. And that's what I was going to do today. Um, so that, and it works when you're in the same room very easily, but sometimes over the internet it gets kind of slow sometimes. Because if you think about it, you're in a 3D room, completely immersed in that space, so that it requires a lot of bandwidth internet wise. But your teacher could essentially put the headset on, or a student could put the headset on and then stream what they are seeing inside VR to a screen that all the other students would see. Now, of course, if everybody had a VR headset, then that would be amazing, because you'd all be in the same space together. You could work with 3D objects together, and just communicate in that same space.
Wonderful. And our last question, what is Pokemon Go?
Pokemon Go. Well, that's a good, I mean, I usually use Pokemon Go as an example, because when I explain what augmented reality is, I use Pokemon Go as an example, because you use your phone, right? And I look through the lens of the phone and the camera, and I have an app called Pokemon Go, which then has these little augmented creatures called Pokemon that look like they're in the real world, but they're not. They're just projections through my phone. So yeah, so you go out and I don't know too much about it, my son plays it, but you go out and you throw a Pokeball at certain Pokemon, and you catch them and you collect them and you earn points, and you get different levels and that sort of thing. So it's fun, but that's a good example of augmented reality. So you're using your phone's camera to kind of project those images through your phone, so it appears that they're actually in the real world. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Wonderful. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much. This video is going to be streamed tomorrow on the St. Pete Science Festival. It'll be live for anyone. Well, not live. It'll be available for anyone to view at their own viewing pleasure. Thank you so much, Chad, for such an exciting presentation. And thank you for everyone who joined us from their classroom. I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.